I work for Triton One. We are an RPC provider focused on Solana. Most of the big applications with real users, traction users. We also very open source contributors. We built the gRPC plugin, which is streaming, allows people to subscribe to the RPC to get updates. We do contribute to this API, maintain it. Old Faithful, Fumero, which is like a gRPC with a buffer, so you can go back in time. Then Vixen for the passing stuff. So Solana is a proof of history, L1. It's top 5 by a market cap, 84 billion last week. So it's a high throughput, low latency, so it has 400 millisecond finality, and the average transaction is very cheap, less than a cent. So right now, before the Old Faithful, the typical RPC node is holding a minimum 4 hours of data, but typically 1 day to 2 days of data, depending on the disk it's using. It's going to be 2 to 4 terabytes. Anything else over is going to be stored in a Google Bigtable. So currently the archive is 500, 600 terabytes. So on storage cost alone, it's going to cost at least 40K a month. If you maximize for storage, maybe you can get it cheaper. But if you're actually using the data, accessing it, then Google recommend like keeping a 60% disk usage for base latency. If you're using HDD, if you're using SSD, it's going to be multiple times this price, but you get better performance. So because it's so expensive, then there's only a handful of organizations that will have a copy of Bigtable, and anyone else needs to go through a RPC provider like us, or the Solana Foundation, etc. So with Old Faithful, basically we take all the snapshots we take of the blockchain so far at the end of the epoch. So the recent epochs at 500 gigabytes or something. Top one was maybe 600. So in total, we already generated 230 terabytes of data from the snapshots. These are the epoch snapshots. Solana epoch is about 2.5 days. Then we have indexes that allow us to optimize for the specific queries on the RPC. So from a Solana Foundation point of view, the current Solana validator is like a big monolith that does 100 things all together. So in that mind, they want to separate it and separate the concerns. So the validator doing the consensus is going to be separate from the read layer, like the RPC. So Old Faithful does that. It provides access to the RPC API that accesses historical data, and it will run completely separate from Solana. So currently it supports multiple storage backends. So Filecoin is one. Then HTTP or S3 backend, basically just need an endpoint to pull data from and do range requests. So now anyone can easily access. Right now it's stored in Filecoin, so anyone can connect to it directly. If you want your own copy, now it's going to be much cheaper and accessible, less than 5K a month. Yeah. So for demo, let's say I take an epoch like 429. I go to the last block. I search for one of the transaction signatures. So I have this API signature to CID. I put the hash of the transaction. I get the hash, then I do lassie fetch, and I get something. So future work and the pain points we have right now. So sending all the deals to the SP provider, to the SP, was a big pain in the ass. Because our epochs snapshots are about 500 gigabytes. So each epoch going to be 20 to 30 pieces. And then right now we have 700 epochs. So it's thousands of deals to send over days. And the SP is limited on the ingestion speed. So we need to space it out over weeks. In the beginning, we had a lot of issues with the indexing, and we had to retry the deals. And it was also difficult to keep track of what failed and what doesn't fail. Then, retriability is also an issue. Right now, when Old Faithful starts up, it will test. It can access all the data by doing a head request, but it doesn't actually fetch the content. And if it's running for 1 month, then it's not really checking the status of the data. And the project started as a grant from Solana Foundation, so they probably would like to also monitor the retriability of the data. We had retriability bot before, but I think we couldn't specify the miner or the client ID to filter for our own data if we deploy it ourselves. Right now, if you use Old Faithful to fetch data from Filecoin, we provided a CSV with all the deals we sent for the relevant pieces. So ideally, it will use the RPC to discover all available deals for the specific pieces. Right now, from the list of the deals on the CSV, we're just gonna take the last one for each piece. So it needs smarter logic there to pick the best provider or pick a specific provider for whatever reason. We still work on the performance. So right now, if we try to use these to replace the RPC that uses Bigtable, if you do a lot of random requests, it's gonna be not gonna have a good performance right now. So it's still not there yet. And another full problem is we generate these snapshots at the end of the epoch. So one epoch is 2.5 days. And only after that, we're gonna make a full epoch snapshot. And after that, we generate a CAR file. Then a CAR file, we need to split it. Then we need to generate indexes, then upload it. Then send to Filecoin. Then Filecoin SP gonna take a few hours to ingest everything. And as I mentioned before, the RPC is only keeping 2 days to 4 days of data. So there can be a gap between what the data the RPC have and when it becomes available on Old Faithful. So in the future, maybe instead of waiting for the end of epoch, maybe we are getting updates by gRPC, and we generate a CAR file when we have like 4 gigabits of data and upload it to Filecoin. So then the gap will be hours, not days. That's it. Thank you.
We have time for one question.
I'll make it 2 in 1 then.
Yeah,
please. Are you using Lassie to do the fetching, or was that just for demonstration?
Just for demo.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, if you're using Lassie for fetching, you can run Lassie as a daemon, and it will do its own SP scoring over time and fetch from faster SPs as you do it. But anyway, that's beside the point.
Yeah.
I was interested in this mapping you have in that screen between the transaction and the CID.
Okay.
So I take it then you're not storing these blocks in some original form, but you're storing them in some custom format. Is that right? Can you tell me a bit about the format that you're storing it in? Because I'm wondering if there's a way you can get closer to the raw format such that you don't have to go to a trusted source to get that translation of signature to CID, but the CID can be derived from the raw data itself. Can you tell me about the format of the blocks, in other words?
I'm not really the developer in the application, so maybe I can make an issue on the repo.
Okay, I'd like to talk about that because it's one of the big problems with with storing alternative chains on Filecoin, ideally you don't want to have a trusted source where you go for that lookup, because why should I trust you that that block is that transaction? But
in the repo you have the documentation, and you find the indexing commands, so you can generate index yourself. So in the future we can also have custom indexes. So if you have a DeFi application, you can make an index for the things you need yourself. It's going to be much smaller than the indexes we have.
Yeah, like exactly the same thing that he said, like directly indexing the raw data would be a better option, and he automatically fetches from the nearest or the fastest miner. One more thing that I would like to add, like EO has been working on a smart contract flow for that. So the thing that you said, like having a CSV file for deal, that would, if that gets implemented, that would come on chain, and anyone, like if even Solana wants to monitor it, so that would also get solved from there.
Okay, thank you.